Spanish, spoken natively by nearly 500 million people on our planet, comes in different types, flavors, and colors. From the accents of Patagonia to the varieties of the Pyrenees, our language includes an interesting range of phonetic, lexical, and even, in some cases, grammatical variations. Join us in this video, where we will show you the geography that will help you understand the linguistic diversity of Cervantes' language. We will start by presenting a map with the geographic distribution of the use of S aspiration. Let's remember that aspiration refers to the phenomenon of pronouncing a certain letter with a sound similar to the English H, or a weakened Spanish J sound. For example, instead of saying los hermanos, people say lo hermano. We can see that the areas in green are the ones that show this aspiration, and coincidentally, they correspond to the coastal regions of multiple countries. We also see that it predominates in the countries of the Southern Cone, in Caribbean countries, and in the south of Spain. The areas in dark blue do not show this phenomenon. In our next map, we can see the geographic areas where Yeísmo is present, which consists of pronouncing the L as if it were a Y, leading to saying lluvia instead of lluvia. In dark blue, we see the areas where Yeísmo predominates, and in pink, the areas where this phenomenon does not occur are marked. In violet, the mixed areas are shown, that is, where both cases occur in almost the same proportion. It is worth noting that practically the only countries where there is still a clear distinction between Ye and the Yi are Peru, Bolivia, Central Colombia, Paraguay, and some areas of Argentina, Chile, and Spain. Now let's analyze the distribution of one of the phenomena that most distinguishes European Spanish from American Spanish, and that is the occurrence of Seseo, which is the tendency to pronounce the Z and C before I and E as an S. That is, someone who uses Seseo will say cereza instead of choriza, or cierto instead of cierto, and so on. In dark blue, we can see the areas where there is a clear distinction between the S sound and the voiceless interdental fricative sound of the Z. These include a large part of Spanish territory, Equatorial Guinea, and the variety spoken in Morocco. On the other hand, in light blue, the countries where Seseo occurs are shown, which are all the American countries, the varieties that are still spoken. In the Philippines, a small region in the south of Spain, and the Canary Islands in the far south of Spain, the phenomenon of Seseo occurs. With peninsular Spanish pronunciation, which consists of pronouncing the S as if it were a Spanish Z, so they say personas instead of personas, zordo instead of sordo, and so on. The following map shows us a phenomenon that occurs mainly in Spain, known as Leísmo, which consists of using the indirect object pronoun li instead of the direct object pronoun lo or le. For example, a person who uses Leísmo would say, le he visto comer despacio, instead of lo he visto comer despacio. You can see that the light blue color represents the areas where Leísmo can occur, while the dark blue color shows the regions where this phenomenon practically does not occur. Debunking the myth that the only country that uses vos is Argentina, we present the map of the use of Voceo in the Spanish-speaking world. Here, the dark blue color indicates the areas with exclusive use of vos in normal daily communication. In light blue are the regions with the majority use of vos, but not exclusive. In pink are the regions where vos may be used occasionally, but the use of tu predominates. And in brown, These are areas where vos is never used. Along with Argentina, countries like Uruguay, Paraguay, and Bolivia have a higher percentage of their territory with exclusive use of vos. Just like in the central and northwestern regions of Colombia and some areas of Central America, outside the Americas, the use of vos is currently non-existent. Thank you. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you'll be reminded when there's a new video. Next, we present to you the universal geography of regional Spanish accents. Let's first go to where the language originated, Spain. The great variety of Spanish accents leads us to first divide them into two main groups, Northern accents and Southern accents. Northern accents are regarded academically as cleaner accents. That is, they tend to avoid aspirating or omitting certain consonants in pronunciation and usually have a slower and more articulated rhythm. Among these accents are Galician, Asturian, Leonese, Castilian, Basque, Navarrese, Valencian, Balearic, Catalan, Aragonese, and Riojan. Among these, the pronounced intonation peaks typical of Galicians and the marked pronunciation of the L by Catalans stand out. Then there are the Southern accents, which are characterized by being more relaxed, with the omission of some consonants in pronunciation, shortening of words, and a faster speaking pace. Among these accents are the Madrilenian, the Extremadarin, the Manchegan, the Murcian, the Andalusian, and the Canarian. Speaking of the Canarian accent, some people find it very similar to other Caribbean accents, such as Cuban, so it could be considered a hybrid between Spanish accents and Caribbean accents, which is our next group. The Caribbean group is represented by the accents of Cuba, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Nicaraguan, Caribbean, the so-called Limon from Costa Rica, Panamanian, Colombian coastal, and Venezuelan Caribbean, to name them in a general way since each one has internal variations depending on the subregions. All these accents are characterized by their relaxed diction, which is reflected in the contraction of words, the aspiration of the S at the end of syllables, their fast pace, among others. Moving to the Aztec country, Mexico, we also find a great variety of accents, some of them characterized by having a sing-song rhythm typical of this country. These accents can be subdivided into the Northern, Western, Northern Peninsular, Western, Bajío, Central, Southern, Central, Coastal, and Eastern Peninsular accents. So if you thought there was only one Mexican accent, I'm sorry to tell you that you were quite mistaken. Moving a little further south, we find the countries that make up Central America. And in this area, we find our next group of accents, mainly made up of the Chiapaneca accent, which is present in Mexican territory. The Guatemalan accent, the Belizean accent, the Salvadoran accent, the Honduran accent, the Nicaraguan accent. Costa Rica has Nicoya, Central Valley, and Punta Arenas accents. A little further south, we find the accents of Colombia, a country that has a rich linguistic diversity. And when it comes to Spanish, you can clearly distinguish multiple accents, like the Paisa accent, which, although it's the most popular internationally, only represents 20% of the Colombian population. There's also the Caucano, Chocuano, Opita, Pastuso, Llanero, Santanderiano, Cundiboyachense, and Amazonian accents, which are also found in Venezuelan, Ecuadorian, Peruvian, and Bolivian territories. In the South American Highlands region, the Ecuadorian accent stands out, which is typical of the coastal region of Ecuador. The Andean accent, which is subdivided into Ecuadorian Andean, Peruvian Andean, Bolivian Andean, Argentine Andean, and Peruvian coastal, is characteristic of the Peruvian population, Continuing the journey south, we pass through the Bolivian accent before finally encountering the accents of the Southern Cone, where the Rio Platense, Patagonian, so-called Litoraleño, Cuyano, Cordobés, Paraguayan, Northern Chilean, and Southern Chilean accents stand out. Last but not least, we highlight the accent of Equatorial Guinea, which resembles a Spanish accent more than any of the Latin American accents. Which of these maps do you identify with the most regarding the native characteristics of your accent? Leave your opinion in the comment box. And that's all for today. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to this channel. I invite you to also activate the bell so you'll be notified when there's a new video. See you soon.